and I open this door, and everybody just looks at you, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like frozen in fear. I didn't know what to do. So I really didn't know what to do. And I just kind of like scanned everybody really quickly. And all the way at the end, on that very last table, like almost like the last person sitting, I see this Asian person, a guy. And he looked a lot like one of my sister's friends from college. She was in college. And I, hung out with her sometimes. And his name was Ten Bing. And I saw him, and I instantly got this sense of relief. Oh my gosh, I know somebody. This is awesome, right? But he was like all the way at the end. So what I did is I just fixated my eyes on this guy. And I walked through all of this. I wasn't, I was still fearful, but I was just walking because I was going to him to say, hi, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just saw you. And I can't believe you're here and in the same summer camp that I am. And I'm walking like so excited that there's somebody there. And as I'm walking closer and closer, I start to realize that it is not him. But by now, I've locked eyes with him. And I've gone really steady, like an arrow towards him. And I'm thinking, well, it's not him. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? And like all that fear came back. And so when I got to him, I extended my hand and I said, hi, I'm Valeria. I'm the salad girl. And he shook my hand, and he was from Vietnam. And he was so welcoming, and he was like, oh my gosh, oh, I'm so glad, welcome. And then what do I do? Right now I realize I don't know him. Everyone knows around I don't know him, and I'm just introducing myself to him. And I just shook his hand and I introduced myself. So what do? I decided to, in my fearful self, go to the person next to him and shake their hand and say the same thing. Hi, I'm Valeria the salad girl. Hi, salad girl. Hi, salad girl. I did this with about 15 people in that table. And when I finished that table, I went to the other table, the one that was closest to the door, the one that I had skipped. And I did that. And then, and every single person was very nice and happy to see me, and they would make comments like, oh great, we get to have salad now, we've been here all week and we haven't had salad. So like all of these comments coming. And then I got to the last table, or actually the first table that was like to the left of the door, and I did the same thing, and that table was a little bit more reserved, which was kind of funny, kind of like, okay, who does this person think they are? I felt a lot of judgment from that table, which was quite interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. Because these two tables here were all foreigners. They were counselors that had flown in from different countries. There were people from England and France and everywhere, like a lot of Europe places. And then there were some people from Latin America, but most of them were from Europe. And then this one here was American, all people who like were born here and live here. And so they kind of like felt like we're here and we live here, and everybody else was coming from different places. And this table here, they already knew each other, so they kind of had their little clique. But everyone on these two tables, the ones that I went to, they didn't know each other either when they arrived, right? So they were all kind of like me, like coming into this new place and not knowing anybody. The table here, the ones that I felt like this kind of like judgment or like closeness from them, they had been at that camp before. They knew each other and they were all from here. And it was interesting to see that they had segregated themselves on their own, right? Because this table had their own clique. They were here together. They were not allowing anyone in. These two gigantic tables were all people from different parts of the world. And they were all open to receiving and to making friends because they were all just like me. they were just, brand new, not knowing anyone, and going for this experience. So what happened? This is what happened. I became very popular. And let me tell you, I was always very shy because some of you guys know, I came to this country from Chile when I was 12 years old. And so speaking and to people was not something that I felt comfortable with. As someone who speaks English as a second language, this is not something that as a child, when you don't know any English and you're thrown into school, is like a fearful thing, right? So I was not outgoing in terms of, talking to strangers like that at all. But that is not the vibe that I gave, and that is not what they received from me. They saw this person that was joyful, happy, and definitely not fearful, which was completely not the truth, right? Because I just told you what happened. I never told that story to anybody really, of how that happened. But amazingly, they were all counselors. So they were all in their own bunks, and they had their own friends because they lived in the bunks and they were taking care of kids. Some of them were like specialists, like, some of them was like the photographer, the person who taught photography to the kids. Somebody, temping was not temping, the one that I thought was temping. He was the ceramics instructor. So like all of these different specialties came together for this camp to do these things. And they were all living in the bunks and working together throughout the day. And I was working in the kitchen all day. And then I would only see them like after, in the evenings and stuff. So it was a different dynamic that I had with them. Yet everyone knew me, and everyone was hanging out with me as well. So it was a great experience for me, and just to see how that really terrifying experience for me when I first came into this room and everybody was just like staring at me, how I went through it, and how did that happen? I didn't freeze, right? I didn't go like, I could have just like frozen and like walking out and like left, but then I had no food, right? And that was like lunchtime and I had to eat. So all of these things, right? I just kind of worked through my fear without really knowing what was going to happen, and that's what happened. So in terms of fear, in what we're going through right now, in anything that you're going through right now, anything you want to do in your life, in your business, it's kind of like the same thing, right? We're so fearful, and we have a choice. We have the choice of panicking, of staying there, of not moving, or we have a choice of just going through it. And when you just go through it without really thinking, and that's the key, because when you start thinking, your ego starts to feed all of these ideas, right? If I had had 2 minutes to think, I would have convinced myself not to go in there and just like to go out and maybe go out around to the kitchen and get some food or something like that, right? But I didn't have that time. I just came in, I saw it, and that's divinely guided, right? That this person looked like my sister's friend, and that I had thought that it was him, and that I walked in, and that he happened to be all the way at the end in the room. It wasn't like right here where like only these people could see and hear me, and then the ones over there didn't. I went all in. Wow, and that's just coming in now. Yes, go all in through your fear. Just go past your fear and then see what's out there. Because what that moment did for me is that it turned my life, my experience at the summer camp, to be a very rich, happy experience, as opposed to being the secluded, shy, and I'm feeling like I wasn't part of it, right? I became friends with like almost everybody at these two tables, and some people on this other table, because like I told you, this table had like a clique of, it was kind of like just them, which happens, right? But look how much richer the experiences can be when we open ourselves up to receiving all that the universe can give to you, right? So when you're asking like, I want this and that, or something better, right? That something better, that's the universe giving you something that you could have never imagined. Because I would have never imagined that this could have happened for me. I went in there thinking that I had, hi Brandy. Yeah, so Brandy says, you can be scared and do it anyway. That was my motto as I went back to school in my 30s. Yes, yes, absolutely, right? I mean, amazing, right? That's exactly it. When you just go through your fear, you pass it and you do it anyway. And when you stop to think, that's when all the fears start coming in, right? When you start to think, that means that you're listening to the to the ego. The ego is the one that's trying to keep you safe from getting hurt. But it was such an amazing experience for me, and I can relate to that now into all of the other fears that I've had. I mean, this journey for me has been really a roller coaster in terms of facing my fears. I mean, I'm doing work on myself constantly to get past my fears, to be able to listen to my intuition, to go the right path for me, right? Because there's only one path that's good for me. And I can ask anybody I want, and they're going to give me their best advice and the best thing that they can think of. But I am the one who has to find that path for me, right? What's the best thing? And that's exactly what I do, like with my clients as well. When I work with my clients, I get to empower them and give them the tools so that they can use them and be able to see these things for themselves, right? To be able to use it and just be lifted, be empowered, really. That's really the word that keeps coming up for me, is empowering others to do what is best for themselves, to trust in themselves and to do the things that they want to do, because no one can tell you what's the best thing for you except for yourself, right? You can ask a whole bunch of people and they can tell you all of their opinions, but they are not in your shoes. They have not lived your life. They have not had your experiences, right? So it's really good to have support and to have people that can hear you and support you in what you're going through and guide you and give you choices of what to do. But then it is ultimately your decision to go through that fear, to pass through that, to go through whatever it is that you want to do. Your choices, these are your choices, right? So yeah, if I think back of every single time that something extremely fearful came in my life, and then I see what happened afterwards, it's always good. It's always better. It's always something that I could have never imagined. I had something else happen recently. Not recently, but like not when I was 19 years old. I had this situation when I worked with another healer, and I didn't have, and the healer only took cash to be paid. Or something else that I didn't have at the time. So I arranged to meet them, and they came to my house and I paid them. And this was a huge, gigantic thing because my husband, number one, didn't know I was doing this type of work to the extent that I was doing it. Number two, he didn't know I was paying anyone for my own growth, because when we seek help, when we join a group and we seek help from another healer, we're being guided into the direction that we want to go, right? We're asking for what we want. And so that's what I was doing, right? I was like seeking help for this. And then, so he didn't know that. And then he didn't know who this person was coming to my house. And it was a huge, big deal about fear. His fear, right? His fear of, what is my wife doing, and who is she paying, and how much money, and all of these things that were coming out of him. Yeah, I didn't tell him any of it because, it's not something that he wants to hear, really. So he's kind of like wanting to like stay out of the way, but then he was like surprised about what's happening. Anyway, long story short, it created a huge argument between us. And And I was extremely fearful because I had to, at that moment, kind of come out clean with everything that I was doing. I had to come out clean and tell him, I'm a healer. I can help people. This is what I'm doing. I've been seeking help. I've joined, this and that. I'm in this group. I'm doing, I kind of like let out my cards and, to let him know everything that I was doing in terms of how I was changing. And this is not something that was easy for me because of the fear of how I was going to be seen. How is this going to change my relationship? Is he going to accept me? Is he going, all of that stuff, right? Which, my fears were, real. And we had a whole huge discussion in fight. But when I finished saying everything, speaking my truth, I had this huge, I cannot even explain to you, sense of relief. Oh my gosh, I did it. I'm out. I told him. He knows. Right? And it was like, wow. It was just such a big sense of relief that I cannot imagine. And this only happened because the universe works in mysterious ways, right? It worked in a way that I wanted to work with this other healer who only took cash, or this other way of payment that I did not have at the time. It worked out that he happened to be in my neighborhood like that day, and it happened that I was able to make arrangements to pay him. So all of these things happened quickly, right? Like one in a row. Oh, okay, you can do it. Yeah, I have it. All of that stuff. And then my husband seeing this happen, and then me needing to explain, right? And let it go and talk about this. And so it wasn't something I planned. If I had planned, I would still be in the closet with my husband. I can be sure about that. Because that's how fearful it is, right? And this is the healing the witch wound, right? If I didn't have the support that I had search for and seek for, and I was in a container with someone that was leading me and helping me, right, to get through these things. And people can tell you what to do, and you're still not going to do it if you're fearful. So sometimes when you're really connected, or connecting at that time as I was connecting with yourself, the universe will send you the answer. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be sometimes ugly. Like it was mine, because I felt mine was, a lot of this, right, in my family. But after that, the sense of relief that I had, I was like ecstatically happy to be, wow, I kind of like stood my ground. I'm no longer afraid. I mean, yes, I'm afraid of what can happen here, but I'm no longer afraid of speaking it and saying it. That's a huge relief. And then the other thing that happened there is that as the weeks progressed and as more information was given to my husband, he started to see that this was something real, at least for me, right? He might still think it's not real. I don't know. But he's starting to see it differently, and some of his fear started to release. How? I have no idea. Yes, I have an idea. I'm the one who's doing the work, right? I'm doing the work for myself. And so as I'm elevating my own energy, that has to be affecting everyone around me. It happens, you can't stop it, right? All of us who are raising our frequencies, we can touch so many more people than when you're down. So as I'm raising my frequency, as I'm doing the work on my own, all of this energy is trickling on to everyone around me who lives with me and who's seeing me. And so that happens organically. I don't have to beat him over the head and make him like that or want that or anything like that, right? So you said you feel that. Yes, I mean, it's a real fear, Brandy. It really is something that all of us healers, as we're starting, sorry, hold on. Ugh. Okay, sorry. Somebody's calling me. I have no idea who. Anyway, all of us who are healers or who are awakening or who are doing the work go through the same thing. All of us. So you're not alone, and I was not alone. And getting that support of someone guiding you and allowing you to see things through it, and also that validation, right? Because if you don't have someone on your side, someone on your back that is constantly there for support, to hold your hand, to tell you, yes, you are right, yes, you are hearing this, yes, you can do that, and giving you that encouragement, right? That is the key of being able to do the work and to get through all of these fear-based things that happen, right? Because without that support, you're just left there hanging and not knowing what to do. And then the ego comes flooding in, and then you're like, oh, it's too scary. Okay, I should never do this again. Goodbye. Right? And then that's the easy way of doing it. That's the easy way of stopping the hurt, right? But now, we are in a time right now where so many people are awakening. So many people are opening up to their true being, to their true knowing. This is happening right now. That is becoming quite uncomfortable for anyone who is here and has any of these inklings to deny them. It becomes quite uncomfortable to deny yourself who you are right now. And this is why it's so important to do the work. The more people who do the work for themselves, the more people you reach as a global, consciousness. And then that's what the world needs, for all of these souls to rise, to awaken, to remember who we are, and not allow the feeding of the media of all of the things that we're being told, which is all fear based, right? Because fear is what controls people, right? I'm getting off my subject, but it's still about fear. So when you're listening to all of that, then you allow yourself to just stay still and not move and not grow. But once you grow, once you open up, once you have that support to hold you, so that you can continue to grow and continue to open up and continue to see who you truly are and tap into your gifts and your true knowing, then that's when you make a difference. That's when you're able to really make a difference, because you're vibrating at a higher frequency, and a higher frequency reaches so many more than the lower frequency. So just by being you, just by doing the work yourself, just by opening up you and holding that frequency higher, you are just healing the world, everyone around you, so much better, faster. The world is just speeding up, right? Everything's speeding up. So everything's happening faster and faster. And right now, people are tapping into their gifts and waking up and figuring out who they are and what their gifts are faster and faster and faster. Last year was like lightning. Everybody was like, who was working last year was just like opening up and figuring things out like really fast. And guess what? This year is even faster than last year. So I see that on my clients. Right? So the people that I work with, when I do a session with them, it's like so much is lifted. It's incredible. I'm just in awe of the changes. I did a light language on somebody, and a life regression thing happened in the middle of it, and I was like, wow, what's happening? Okay, I'm going with it. It happened, and we heal like 300 years of ancestor stories on with that. And then that person said, does this also heal your family? And I said yes. And they shared with me that their children had woken up a completely different person as well, like because all that trauma had been lifted and cleared, and so their kids, right, it's the same family line, their wounds was lifted and cleared as well. So that's the type of stuff, right, that you do the work and then those around you benefit from it. That's the power of it, right? And then Dream Weaving School, amazing. I mean, oh my gosh, and it's still open. It's open year round, so you can join whenever you want. So if you're listening to this and you're wanting to get some type of help where you can have your hand held and you can be led and shown which way to go to open yourself up with all of that support, because I'm there all the time for whenever anyone needs me. The growth and expansion that's happening in there is just incredible. I mean, I have one person who is constantly getting the messages now, and now when things happen, oh, a bird just came up. Sorry, there's a little bird that just stopped on my windowsill. Who, like, when things happen, right? Like something happened at work that they were switching people around, and they were giving her job to somebody else, and they were like doing this publicly without letting her know. And of course, all of her fear came. What's going on? Like, what's going to happen with me? All of that stuff, right? And then instantly, what happened? She got a text from me. That's how the universe works, right? I didn't know that she was going through this. I sent her a message. How are you doing? What's going on? At that moment, how does that get any better than that in terms of synchronicities, right? And then she was like, well, she remembered. She started to remember who she was. She started changing her mind from all of the things that we've done in Dream Weaving School, and she changed that way of thinking. She got rid of that fear, and she was able to start seeing, like, hey, maybe there's something better for me. What else is there, right? And she started changing that communication that she had in her head that was giving her fear and making her feel bad, like somebody is doing something against her, as opposed to like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a different reason. And the reason was actually that the boss was actually trying to save the other person's job by changing their job position. So they were trying to save somebody else's job and giving her this, and in the middle of that she was feeling like, I'm being pushed out, but she actually wasn't. So that all happened like this, and this happened because of the support, because of the connection, because of the work she's doing. I mean, it's just amazing how things are shifted and are able to just be seen from a different point of view when you have the tools, when you have the support, when you know what to do. So just amazing, and things just opening up, messages being received that you didn't know you were receiving, all of that stuff is just magical. I mean, I'm in awe of their growth, and I'm also in awe of my own growth, because whenever any of my clients have these growth moments, I also grow inside, because we're all connected, right? So I cannot not grow. We're all one. We're all connected. When I do the work for myself, other people benefit. And when I'm helping someone and they are rising up, I also benefit, right? You're benefiting from them. So it's all a web, right? It's all a web. We're all a little part of it that comes together, right? So this is the way that works. Anyway, I hope that you like this. I hope this resonated with you. I hope you like my story about fear. I hadn't shared that I don't think I've ever shared it. I don't think so. But yeah, it's an amazing story about how to get through the fear and what's on the other side. Don't forget, Arcturian Light Codes is next Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, if you want to join for that. The Arcturian Light Codes are codes of abundance, love, and compassion, which are amazing. They look like multicolor rainbow light language, which are like symbols, for those of you who don't know what light language is, coming in through your crown and filling your body with these codes. And then people have been telling me, because I have it, like I'm doing like a just light codes group session to make it more accessible for everybody, and that's next Saturday. But I also have a one-on-one, like an hour, that also has a healing in it. So some people have done that because they've reached out and they just wanted it earlier. And like one person said, oh, I just received like a $500 check from somebody that was not expected. So that's the abundance part. Other people have said they have been feeling and seeing the world or what's going on around them from a different point of view. They're able to hold more space for what's happening and not get triggered so quickly from life, how it's happening. So really amazing. Every time I give out the codes to a new client, I'm receiving them as well. I do it myself. I listen to my own recordings. Oh my gosh! And last night I was finishing a recording for Dream Weaving School. It's like an additional one, because Dream Weaving School is growing, right? So Dream Weaving School is my whole set, but then you start to get perks, right? Like this happened. Oh, I have this thing here. You can have it as well. So a lot of those perks are happening, and I was just finishing recording this, the new meditation for it, and it is amazing. And after I finished it last night, I actually said, "Oh, I'm going to listen to it myself." And wow, like it's crazy, right? Because I channel these things. I channel the meditations and the work that goes in it. And so I do it, and then I know it's awesome, it's great, but then I do it myself. So I am also part of Dream Weaving School, because I'm also doing the same work that my clients are doing. And so I can speak from experience. I can speak from how it affects me. I know what certain things do if you do them one way or the other. So very powerful stuff, very powerful. If you're thinking of doing that, come and join us. I put my website down, so on the link. So on my website, you can check anything out if you want to work with me in any way, and if you feel that I can help you in your journey or in your growth. Okay, guys, I love you so much. I hope to see you next Saturday for the Arcturian Light Codes activation. It's going to be amazing, and I will see you soon. Bye.